Well, hello, and welcome back. And let's turn the light on. There we go. Get a little bit more light on the subject here. So I'm AJ O'Neill. This is Beyond Code Live, and we're going to be continuing with with this little project here. Oh, let me show you. Let me show you. If I click on the settings, there we go. Where I have either a one-time or subscribe, and I'm trying to actually get this to work out for future projects as well. But yeah, going through the PayPal checkout process, and I all the plumbing seems to work now. And what I need to do is basically, instead of if somebody is logged in and they have upgraded, then I need to be able to show, hey, you have a subscription, or you have the product. So that's what we're going to be doing. As far as who to follow, I've got that in... Oh, Mariah. Mariah's who I picked. So if you check out the doobly-doo, I've got a little who to follow section. And Mariah, otherwise known as at soypete01, is my who to follow for today. She helped put in on the Go West conference, and she's given me some streamer tips, none of which I've implemented yet, but I gotta figure out some of the stuff she suggested. And then with that all out of the way, a note from our sponsor, but not really our sponsor, Mountain Dew. Let's pop it up, my friends, and open focus. Now, some of you may be asking, AJ, a couple of months ago, didn't you say that you stopped drinking soda, particularly caffeinated soda, or you were down to one a week or something like that? Yeah, I was wrong. No, in fact, I've doubled to tripled my intake. So, and it's going great. Remember, ignore the advice your doctor gives you. Too much is just enough. All right, now with that little bit of goofiness out of the way. Oh, and hello and welcome. Please let me know, who are you? Where do you come from? Why are you here? And oh yeah, I had one other thing to do real quick. Whoops. Just got to paste something over here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So, the simple thing that I need to do, well, first let me go to the the to-do. Whoops. I'm going to go to my to-do document, and another thing that I need to do is, I just forgot it. I had it on the tip of my tongue. And now, credit card. That's one last thing that we need to do with this, is direct credit card payment. And we have a fake credit card in the PayPal sandbox that we'll use for that. But what we're up to is show the user's current products and services. Now, I guess part of that maybe should be, don't let the user double subscribe. I guess that should just be, the interface shouldn't show them the option to subscribe if they have already subscribed or purchased, or if it's a subscription plan, they probably shouldn't be able to double subscribe while the plan is valid. And I haven't actually put in the end dates on the purchases yet. So let me first, before we dig into code, let's talk about the database again. I think I had some sort of something or other here. We're just going to go db.md. So there's a number of things that we have going on. So there's PayPal checkout. There is what I'm going to call a PPC order, and then a PPC order payment. Let's say PPC order activation, PPC order request. I'm going to list it out this way. So we've got PayPal checkout, and then underneath of that, we've got these. And then we have, potentially a cancellation or some such. Then we have a PPC order subscription request. So this generates a URL, generates approval URL. We have, and the reason I'm going through all of this again is because I've got to think through the database a little bit better than I want to start the refactor process. I don't think I'm going to do the refactoring in this video, but I want to start the process in terms of getting things, going. Now, what you don't know, so that first there's a subscription request, then there's a subscription payment that happens on approval, and then there's a subscription activation. I think the reason for that, it seems that these always happen in this order. These are, as far as the webhooks go, they happen in this order. As far as the process flow goes, activation happens first. So we could say, whoops, that there's maybe there's an approval. I don't know. We don't have a separate thing for that. We have I guess I could call this approval / activation, and then we have approval here. Okay, so these are kind of the things. I initiate a request. I give the user a link for an approval URL. They get an approval, they do an approval and then a payment, and then here the payment seems to happen first in terms of the PayPal webhooks and then the approval. And so that's all stuff that's going on. But I think that these payment IDs are the same, whether it's an order or a subscription. I need to figure that out. So that's on my to-do list as well. So I'm going to put in here, check payment ID. Let me get out of that. Okay, and then we have, let's say, AJ checkout. And the AJ checkout needs to have an AJ purchase. Oh, and by the way, there's some pre-setup here where the PayPal subscription, in order to set up a PayPal subscription, you need to set up a product and a plan. So this is kind of, PPC subscription setup. So we say this is a one-time setup. And this has a product and a plan. And then that has to enter into my database as well. So AJ has a purchase, but the AJ setup has products and plans. So plans, a plan is essentially a product plus a price plus a timeline. That is what a plan equals. And this is the same in both. A plan is a product plus a price plus a timeline. And then in the case of PayPal, PayPal is a billing schedule. And this can have multiple installments. So it could be your first month is 50% off, et cetera, et cetera. So you can have that kind of thing going on. Where, for example, Comcast does your first month is 50% off, your first 3 months are 50% off, then the next 3 months or the first 6 months are 25% off, and then the next year when you renew, it goes up to 100%, that kind of thing. So that's kind of why the plans are the way that they are. Now, if we look at, and then we have an AJ subscription. I need to go look at the database real quick. Make sure I get all this right. Okay, down here we've got an AJ subscription. We've got an AJ purchase, AJ payment, AJ plan, AJ product, AJ payment service. But that's not, I guess that's not really an AJ thing. But the thing that's missing here is we have an AJ payment. And so an AJ payment belongs to a plan, a product. So it kind of belongs to a product through a plan. Or at least ideally that's what it should be. And maybe it could be products through a plan. But basically, I think the way that PayPal calls a product, it could be considered to be a bundle. You could have a bundle of one item. So I think there should be another layer here. I think there should be bundles, but this is more of a to-do, AJ product bundles, let's say. and then a plan should be through. You should have a product. Payment belongs to. I guess it would be to a plan. Yeah, product belongs to a payment belongs to a plan, but it could also. This could be through an order or a subscription. So it's through, I guess it's through a purchase, and that would be one time or subscription. So this is essentially the complexity of this thing, and I'm not really sure how you. I mean, if you've got some better ideas about how this should be laid out, please let me know. But a subscription. Oh, and then we have another thing here, which is we have, let's say, a PPC user, which is known as a payer or a subscriber, depending on how, we could say PPC account. So it's a payer or a subscriber, and that depends on that depends on whether it was an order. If it's an order, then it's a payer. And if it's a subscription, then it's a subscriber. And so then we have here, we have AJ accounts and we have AJ users. And I haven't even touched on the accounts bit, but the default, the way that I designed it is that, and I'd like to go back and revisit this, maybe in a future session that's just on Bliss itself. But the user and the accounts are UUIDs. All of this stuff I decided to do ULIDs instead, because they make more sense after somebody I made a strong opinion post on Twitter, and somebody came at me with some hard facts and changed my opinion, and I was really grateful. But I'm 100% in on ULIDs now, rather than UUIDs, ULIDs, that is. Okay, but anyway, the primary account of a user, the default account of a user, has the same ID as their user ID. Also, the default team of a user has the same ID as the user does. And that is actually not going to be allowed to have any other users. The default team is going to be team of one. That way I can have a straight directed graph. I guess it would be directed either way, but I can have a straight graph through teams for certain things. We'll see if that pans out 100%. It may not. There may be some areas where that doesn't really work out, but that's what I'm going to go for. So anyway, we've got that. So it doesn't matter that I didn't do accounts. That's what that little 3-minute tangent was there for. Is it doesn't matter that I didn't factor in accounts, because I'm just going to rename user ID to account ID, and everything's going to be the same, because the default user account, and that's all we have right now. We don't have multiple accounts. So the migration path for that is super simple. Okay. Now the plan is a product and a price and a timeline. So that's what we need to find. We need to find what plan they have that's in an open timeline. So I guess an open timeline would mean valid is start at, but this really, okay, so that's not quite right either, because the purchase is related to a plan. So the payment is really not related to anything. But if it's related to anything, it belongs to a purchase. Through a purchase. There we go. Through a purchase, plan, possibly subscription. Okay, so I think a subscription belongs to a purchase, and a payment belongs to purchase. I subscribe. When I subscribe, I make a purchase. and a payment belongs to a purchase. I think that's what we're saying. A payment belongs to a purchase, but it belongs to a product through a purchase, and a purchase belongs to a plan, right? Is that what I'm saying? So where's purchase at? Belongs to plan. And so the plan, is that right? Purchase belongs to a plan, meaning that the plan foreign key is in the purchase. We cannot make a purchase without making a plan foreign key. And a payment really doesn't belong to anything, because a payment can just be made to the account. When you make a purchase, you go into debt. When you receive a payment, you come out of debt. That really should be all that it is. So the way that I've got the database structured right now is wrong. There's too many relationships because I was kind of figuring this out as I went. And so there's the email address is everywhere, but there's also this other thing, because what I do want to allow, which I guess I don't have the specific use case right now, so maybe I shouldn't have allowed it, but what I want to allow, the one thing that throws a little wrench in the works, so I'm just going to put this wrench in the works, is that we can have a floating user, meaning email without account. So I could go on the site and I could purchase without being logged in. That's one of the things that makes this a little wonky, that if I eliminated that constraint, I would have saved myself some headache. But you see sites like this all the time. You go and you make a purchase and you get the product. And again, with what I'm building this for now, this doesn't make a lot of sense. For the blog system, it doesn't make any sense to do this. But I do want to build this out so that people can buy software licenses and not have to have an account. The account would be created by virtue of the email. And so therefore, a purchase may belong to a user, and it does belong to an email. Okay, and so a purchase is valid for some sort of time period. So it should be valid from a start at until an end at or forever. So if end at is null, then the purchase is forever. And the start at should be the purchase date or the payment date. And those can be different, but ideally they're about 30 seconds apart from each other. So really what I want to say is they start at purchase date, and then this is actually not the payment date, because we want to let them make a purchase if they went through an approval process, that they went through an authorization, a payment authorization process. Payment authorization says the likelihood that the payment will succeed is near 100%. So, for example, when you get one of those texts on your phone that say, hey, your some suspicious activity was detected on your account, did you make this purchase? You know, for example, you're buying your wife something for her birthday, and it's a bigger purchase and it's women's jewelry, and so you get that notification. I'm assuming most people have had this before. So you get that notification, if I'm not mistaken, you get that notification during the authorization process. So if the merchant is wise, they will authorize and they will wait until the shipment is prepared to capture. And then they'll capture and then they'll ship. So you have a window of a couple of hours where the payment, the company that's receiving the payment may believe that the transaction's authorized. Then some algorithm tickles and says that the transaction looks fishy and sends you a message. And then you respond yes, and then they capture, and if all of that happens in the right timeline, then they still get the money. So the purchase date, we're okay, especially with a service or something that's going to ship the next day, something that doesn't immediately cost money. For most things, we're going to say that the start at date should be the purchase date, not necessarily the payment date, because there's zero to no risk in letting them start using whatever service you offer, because it essentially costs you nothing. It's cost you pennies and you're charging dollars. So you can do that. But that's kind of the distinction there. And part of this I'm doing for your benefit. By the way, hello, for those of you joining in, I'm AJ. Love to know who you are, where you're from, what brings you to the channel today. But most of this, this is more beneficial for me, just saying, okay, I've spent now 12 sessions going through this, actually 13, because there was a session 0 where I went down the rabbit hole of PayFacs and payment service processors, and I forget all the names, MSPs, ISOs, etc., trying to understand what is the chain of payments? What does that really look like? Because I'm a wrong thinker, a dangerous wrong thinker, and so I don't want to be involved in a payment chain such as PayPal, ironically, where accounts get frozen, money gets held, etc. I don't want to be involved with PayPal and Stripe. Okay, a lot of developers like to choose Stripe because Stripe is easy to integrate and you get a little bit lower fees, I think, than PayPal. But if you think about it from the user perspective, Amazon and PayPal are way easier on the user end, or Google Payments, Apple Payments. I guess I pay for my Taco Bell with Apple Pay, but unless you're targeting something that's already on an iPhone, Apple Pay is probably not super useful to you. Not that many people are using Safari, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But anyway, so I went down this whole rabbit hole. But the reason I want to offer PayPal is because PayPal is convenient for the user. And I want it to be convenient for the user because we can always do the bait and switch. We can always do you sign up and who cares if we lose the bad users? We don't need the bad users. We just need the good ones. So if we let them sign up and we say, oh, it's time for renewal, and in fact, we're not going to renew you on PayPal, you need to insert your credit card, and then our percentage goes down from 2.9 plus 30 cents down to 1.25 and 8 cents. Well, that's great. And if we got a user that likes the product well enough after using it a year that they're willing to do that, awesome. If they don't like the product that much after using it for a year, well, maybe they're not really the best user. Maybe it's better for us and for them to go with something that fits them better, right? So I think, anyway, that's kind of the history of why I'm using PayPal, and this is kind of how this thing looks. But I think, despite my frustrations with the way PayPal works, so for example, we only get an email on an order approval, and on I don't remember whether it was a payment over here or an approval over here. I think it's on the approval. That's the only place that we get an email. It makes sense that before they approve, we don't get an email, but it's kind of hard to tie the things together here, and people use different PayPal email addresses than their primary email addresses. But this is kind of the layout, and so I need to figure out how do we show that a user has some purchases, and I think what we'd want to show to say, hey, this thing that the user wants to use, can they use it? I think this is what's important here, is we need to check the purchase to see if the start at date is in the past, and if the end at date is in the future, and not revoked. So I think that's the main thing that we need to implement. And really, this has nothing to do with PayPal, because we would need this for anything, any sort of payment system that we're doing. Hey, welcome. I'm AJ. I'd love to know who you are and what brings you here to the channel today. This whole time right now, it's just been me working through a recap of really what I've been doing for the last 13 sessions. Okay, so with that all in mind, I think that this is what I need to work on next, is let me just first go query the database and see if I can construct a query that will give me something useful. Because I'm going to want to know, I want to know what product. And so this would be belongs to product through plan. that's really where the product needs to be. I have the product referenced in the purchase for some reason that I don't quite remember why, just because I was not normalizing my database well and duplicating data because I was figuring out what to do and changing things a lot. But I think this is what I need to really be concerned with. Oh, and then the thing that's the wrench in the works. So somebody can purchase with an email without necessarily having an account. We could create an account, but like I said, it could be the wrong email for what they want to do, which means that we have to have a way to possibly transition things from one account to another account. So move purchases over. So I think that's another thing that I'm going to want to put in my to-do is move purchases from one account to another. And then if I've got an easy way to do that, which I don't know what that'd be because they have to be logged in to both accounts at the same time, and that's kind of a difficult thing to go about. But we'll figure that out. And that's just important anyway, because anytime you have a service, somebody's going to sign up with the Google or with Facebook, and then they're going to sign in with an email address that's their, anonymized email address. And then it's going to be, oh crap, I need to link these two things together. And so essentially, maybe we just say, if they add the email to both accounts, maybe something like that, they add the email on one account and the other account, it'll say, hey, which did you want this to be part of? Do you want to move this stuff over here or you want to move that stuff over there? Maybe that's the way to do it. So I'm going to put a note of that in my to-dos here. And I should probably move these to-dos into GitHub because it's a lot nicer to check checkboxes over there. Let's see, add email to both accounts to prompt move. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we need to do this piece right here. This is the money bit. Check to see if a purchase is valid. So I'm just going to go ahead and, was it PSQL, Postgres? Let's just do a select star from purchases. All right, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that came through. Could we... Let's see, maybe let's not select star, but let's do subscription, FK, price. Let's see, we'll do email. Email should probably be first. Let's do user, FK, email, price, subscription, FK. And then what is it going to be? Plan, FK, and product, FK. Let's just see what I actually ended up implementing here. And I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I can fit more on it. Oh, interesting, huh? Oh, okay, because mostly I was testing. Let's see. Oops. Sorry about the size, but oh, I need to see this thing. Okay, now we can maybe beef that back up. Wait, no, we're still too small. Is that what I'm seeing? So I'm going to make this as small until I can see everything I need to see, and then we'll make it as big as we can, and then I'll see about changing it yet once again. So these are ULIDs. You'll notice that it looks, at first blush, you think, oh, it's the same thing over and over again. And in fact, for... okay, so... oh, that's not good. But these might be the old ones. I probably need to go through this process again. Because we shouldn't have purchases that don't have an email associated with them. That's really bad. So that's a bug that we need to fix for sure. All right, we don't need to select the product FK because we can get to the product FK through the plan FK. But then again, for the convenience of being able to query without joining, it doesn't matter. If I need that efficiency in the future, I can add it in the future. So let's look at the other important things. So, oh, and I'm gonna select ID here real quick, just so you can see. So these are a mix of timestamps and random. So you'll notice the first digits are all the same, but as you get further along, then they start to be random. And that's because that's how ULIDs work. universally unique lexically sortable identifiers, and I've mentioned them before, and I can link you to a tweet if you're interested. Just let me know and I'll go find the tweet real quick. But this gives you all the advantages of a UUID and an auto-incrementing integer in terms of database performance and security, etc. Okay, so let's get rid of user FK. I know that there's no users because I've only been doing this process, but everything should have an email, so that's a good indicator to me that something's been wrong. Okay, and actually, purchase should not have a, does purchase have a price? Yes, purchase has a price, and then payment confirms that it was paid. I do want to check and see if all the payments, because we should have a payment FK for all of this. Payment FK, that's really important. Do all these have a payment FK? It looks like they do, but let's get rid of the subscription. Maybe I can do, I don't actually know how I do this. Does this work? Can I do that? I don't think I can do that. I don't think that works that way. Okay. So, whoops, plan. We need purchase FK. Nope. What did I do? Not purchase, payment. Payment FK. All right, so I really just need to drop the database and try this again so I can take a look at it, because we should not have any purchases that are missing a payment, but I know that there was a lot of errors while I was trying this. And same thing, we should not have any purchases that are missing an email. All purchases should have an email. All purchases should have a payment if they were successful. If they don't have a payment, then the payment may have failed, and we need some sort of indicator to know that the payment has maybe what time the payment succeeded might be something to put in here. But I'm going to go ahead and just look at start at and end at real quick, and then I'll make this bigger again so we can all see it. So I think start at and end at is what I had. Yeah. Oh, interesting. So these shouldn't have an end at. Let me go ahead and get rid of some of this other stuff. So I must have done something wrong. I probably accidentally put in the end at date as a default date. So let me go check that out real quick. Well, we're going to use this again. So I'm going to leave that the same size. I'm going to open up another one. And this one will keep big, and that one will keep small. That way we can look at the database. In fact, did I already have one of those? No. The other one's for general logging. Okay. And I'm sorry, I haven't been checking for comments and chat, but okay, now I'm checking over there. So feel free to drop stuff in here, ask me questions, whatever. It can be off topic too. That's totally fine, because this is my my personal project. And also, if you just say hello, it feels good. It feels good when you just wave, say hello. I like that. I appreciate it. But of course, then you've got to be aware, because then I'm going to bug you and be like, oh, hi, so-and-so. Where are you from? What are you doing? So it's kind of if you give a mouse a cookie type of thing. If you give a streamer your name, they're going to want to know where you're from. All right. So I'm in here. I need to be into serve bliss. Okay. And so the project that this is related to, it's bliss.js.org. But the version that I have up is, obviously, I'm developing this payment thing right now, so you're not going to be able to get to that. And I may need to add a layer of indirection so that this service, the bliss.js.org, simply allows you to connect to a encrypted syncing service, but does not in itself do the payments. I got to go read the TOS on js.org to see how I need to structure that for it to pass muster. I mean, I want people to be able to use it freely, but I also, when a man comes to a certain age, he has to realize that if you're not monetizing what you're creating, then you got to have retirement and all that, Okay, so I'm in here. I'm going to go look at the database. I'm going to look at migrations, and I need to switch over to fish. There we go. So let me go look at the migrations. There we go. Now I get my nice auto prefill. Gosh, what's that? Type aheads. I get my nice type aheads. Auto suggest. All right, and then in here, too much Mountain Dew today. I've already forgotten what I was looking for. I was looking at purchases. We want to see, let's see, we got the product in there, which we probably don't. Yeah, superfluous. Payment, subscription. There we go. This is what I was looking for. Start at and then end at. So we do not want to default the end at. Let me go check on that elsewhere. Yeah, we definitely don't want to default an end at. So what was this one? This one was subscriptions. Yeah, we don't. Now, if one thing I was thinking about, which might make sense, is for the sake of simplicity, what if, again, it's all about that, directed graph, straight lines as much as possible, as few branches as possible. What if we said that a one-time order was a subscription that was non-recurring? That actually makes things simpler in terms of the PayPal API as well, because other than that, it's going to show the button as agree and subscribe, which you may not want to show subscribe for where it's not a subscription. But if you do a subscription on PayPal, you can allow the person to put in their credit card directly without logging into PayPal. Well, at least that's what I understood from the documentation. I haven't tested it yet. But the problem is that you can't do that for one-time orders, but you can for subscriptions. So if you make it a subscription, but you only make it ever go once, and then you end it, it terminates within one billing cycle, then, and actually I've used a site that does this, where I was confused because it said agree and subscribe, but then I went back and checked and they said, this is only a payment that happens once, we promise. And I'm guessing that's why they do it. They probably do it so that you can put in your credit card without having to create a PayPal account. If it's just, the form is credit card, and then you click either pay with PayPal or pay, and no matter which one you click, it just automatically takes, if it takes your card info, it goes through PayPal without creating the account. Anyway, so yeah, we definitely don't want the end at date to be automatic, but we do want the end at date to exist. So I'm going to go look in the code real quick where I'm setting up subscription. Basically, hold on, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back a step. I'm going to look in so I have these DB seeds, and I set this up to be able to sync my products between PayPal and the local database, so that I have a product in the local database that mirrors the product on PayPal. And there's no way to delete products and plans. There's no way to delete those from PayPal. Once you put them on there, they're there forever, even if no one's ever bought them. It makes sense that if someone's bought them, that you can't get rid of them, but they just make it, if you can have the same product in there 100 million times, you could create a new entry for a product. You could not have your database in sync with PayPal and have a new entry for a product every single time a person subscribes or a plan, etc. But I wanted to do this, so I did. So we've got products get in sync. And so what I want to look at is the way that I'm storing information about a plan, if I have information that makes sense to me. Because I have here this X adders, and I have PayPal checkout. And what I think I ought to do instead, and I talked about this before, is that instead of having an X adders column that's just a JSON column and you can put whatever in there, I think what it actually ought to be is, as I add more payment services, I should add a column specifically for that payment service. So this should move up one level from being PayPal checkout under X adders to just being PayPal checkout. And as I add more payment services, I would add the object that represents it there. Anyway, so what we have here is billing cycles, and we have frequency year and interval count 1. And I do think that this is a good idea. That they put it as a string year rather than putting in a number of milliseconds, since the number of milliseconds in a year changes every year because of leap seconds and leap days and all that. So it depends on whether you want to go by monotonic time or whether you want to go by wall time, monotonic time, meaning actual time passed, which is somewhat subject to change. How long is a second? We redefine it every now and then. And then wall clock time, meaning time according to what you get from the time server. So, for example, the way that your operating system runs your clock is wall clock time. They contact the time server and they sync up and adjust forward or backwards, daylight savings, sleep seconds, clock skew, etc. But I don't have any information about the plan billing cycle in my own database. And I think that's a mistake, because that should help me to know when the person's re-uppance has come. And I think that that should be in a format such as this, where it's a string and an enum. And I think that I should use that to calculate the end time. So I'm, for fun, purely for fun, I'm going to call this re-uppance. And I'm going to put in the string, well, let's say yearly. Is re-uppance a word? Can anybody clarify for that for me? Is re-uppance? Let's check that out. Re-uppance. Because re-up is a word, right? So re-uppance should be a word. Re-uppance the birds. Re-uppance the birds. Go out and replenish your... I wonder if that's where it really came from, because I've always thought of re-up as when you renew something. But I guess it could be renewing your drug supply. Okay, so we'll go with this. I don't want to waste too much time on this. We'll go with this. All right, database seeds. So I'm going to put some other database seeds in here. So we have payment services, and we're also going to have what is it called? Renewal cycle, billing cycle. What is the thing called? It's cycle something. Billing cycle. Frequency. Could I just call it frequencies? Yeah. So this tenure type, so they're pretty smart. They do the trial periods and all that. I might end up copying that, but for right now, I think I would manage a trial period by creating a purchase that is $0 and saying that it ends at 1 month. And then I'd have it in the software that they then get asked to go into the paid service or I guess the problem with that is the authorization, because you can authorize for up to 29 days, I think it is, and then you have to capture. So if you're going to give somebody a free trial, either you have to capture their credit card up front, and then you have to keep reauthorizing over and over again, because I think an authorization lasts 72 hours, but you can extend it up to 29 days. And I don't think that's a PayPal limitation. I think that's a credit card limitation. I could be wrong about that. I'm not quite sure how those things work. But anyway, I don't need to worry about that right now. So we're just gonna call this a frequency. But it needs to be frequency. That's too generic. So yeah, we'll either need to call it billing frequency or renewal frequency. Let's say billing frequency. That makes sense. And so let's just put a couple of slugs in here. So it will, and I'm going to add this to the database thingy. So first off is, we'll say yearly, monthly. We could have quarterly. I don't know if I really want to have that, but I'm just going to throw it in there for now. Quarterly. And then, I don't know, weekly seems kind of dumb. And then never. And this should be the default. Okay, so this gives us an enum, essentially. So databases often have enum types, but I don't recommend using them because then if you ever want to update them, you can't. Or there's severe restrictions on how you can do it. If you do an enum like this, I'd have to go talk to some database gurus to see what they think. But I mean, I'm thinking this just gets stored in memory. And the performance difference between this and a true enum, I would imagine it's negligible. I'd be really surprised if it's not negligible. But, you know, maybe if you're doing, maybe for the type of person that needs ULIDs instead of UUIDs, maybe you need to do a more complex migration instead. But anyway, we're going to take this and we're going to go, I'm actually going to take this out of here as well. And we're going to run, let's see, subscription plans, billing frequency. I'm just going to put this as a separate thing so that I can run it on its own. Because I'm going to put this table in anew. Well, I'll probably take everything down and bring it back up, actually. We'll see. All right. I'll probably just create it as a one-off. I don't know why I did that instead of doing a fuzzy, just type pay and then hit tab. My old age is getting to me, you know? All right. So where did I define payment services? Yeah, right up here at the top. That's a good one to have up at the top. And then we'll have, I'm just going to say, you know, enum to be more, I guess, clear about that in the documentation. So this is names of billing / renewal cycles / frequency. And generally I recommend doing singular for database tables names, but I don't know. I guess I hadn't had enough Mountain Dew when I was doing this, and I'm just keeping with the bad naming convention. Okay. Yeah, we do want the created at frequencies, slug, not nullable. Yeah, billing frequencies. That's what we call it, right? Billing frequencies. Let me go double check on that. Billing frequencies. And I should change it in here as well. Billing frequencies. Just keep, I made a bad decision, but I'm, you know, when you're in a hole, remember, when you're in a hole, keep digging until you reach the bottom. Good life advice. And for any international viewers, that was the okay sign. I know in some, I actually have been to a country where that's essentially FU, which is not what I'm saying. Also, this moved a little bit. No, let's bring it that way. There we go. Is that okay? Sorry. I don't want to futz around with the camera too much, but okay. So I got in here. Wait, why am I in this file? I was looking for, it's, no, I want to be in lib payments. That's where I want to be, or lib purchase, right? Hold on, let me think about this for a second. So I'm adding that to the database seeds. I added to the database. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this manually right now. I'm going to do create table billing frequencies, and then we're going to have slug string, I think it's text, and then primary key. Is that how we do this? Maybe? Yeah, cool. Oh, you know what? alter table billing frequencies, add column created at date time default now. Timestamp. That's it, right? Oh, crap. Bah. Timestamp. Good. Okay. And then if I want to run npx seed, is it? No. Connects seed. And then what are my options here? I think I can tell it a specific file to run, if I'm not mistaken. So I think I can give it billing frequency and it'll run just that one file. Let's see why that failed. Okay, it failed because it was trying to run the subscription stuff. But did it get anywhere with this one? I think it did. Well, let's see. Let's see what worked and what didn't. So let's select star from, payment services. Should only have one. And select star from, because I think this might have run as a transaction where it's all or nothing. Billing frequencies, in which case we'd see nothing there. Okay, so it did do some stuff there. I'm kind of intrigued. Oh, because I said on conflict do nothing. That's why. That's why it ran. Okay, so let me go back here. And then, yeah, let's default to now, not nullable. And then let me go back into, now I'm just going to delete that seed for billing frequency because I'm not going to use that again. I'm going to use it from the subscription plans. So I might change to purchases. Yeah, on conflict ignore. That's okay. So then on here, I also had on conflict ignore. Okay. So somewhere I did not have an on conflict ignore, and that's where something bad happened, but something bad is want to happen. Oh, and then I need to add the re-uppance. That's the other thing that I didn't do. So rather than create a million jillion migrations, I'm just kind of ad hocing the database. And before this goes any further, I'll run the migration down and then I'll bring the migration back up so that everything gets deleted, and I'll have it tested in a known working fashion. Because all the time when you ad hoc database changes in dev like this, you make some change in dev and then you think that you've got your migration correct, but you forgot something such as adding the default value or something that you did on the command line. And so my solution to that is rather than while you're in dev making 100 migrations, while you're in dev, just roll back and then roll forward, lose the data, run the tests again, have the seed file, etc. Okay, so what I am looking to do here is add the re-uppance. And I'm probably going to regret calling it that, but maybe not. Maybe for future generations with the 0 other people that look at this project, they'll think, wow, what a swell guy. So re-uppance is on, I think that's on the plan, right? So re-uppance. And the other thing we need to know is, well, first of all, where the heck am I taking that from? What words end in uppance? Words that end in pence. Because I'm not sure if re-uppance should be spelled with an E or an A. Another bad reason for me to... Wait, where are the letters? Expense? I don't know. See, somebody help me out here though. How do you spell reupance? I know this is dumb. If you leave, I'm sorry. Oh, recuppance. Huh. What does that mean? Cool. Validated. That's how you spell it. Well, let's just see. Tuppence. Ooh. Yeah, okay, I'm going with it. I'm not going to waste some more time on it. I apologize. Also, I can't imagine. I mean, let's I'm just coming up with something ridiculous here. I think 26 would be. It's not a real word. It's definitely. I definitely made it up. But there is a way to spell it because it's there's in English adding ance at the end of something, it happens. So for example, nowadays people say anality for lots of things. Ality. So they'll say optionality, muscularity, and it's double. There's a word for what it is. It's reduplication, in a sense, because you're taking a noun and then you're turning a noun into a noun by first turning it into an adjective. So if you take an adjective and turn it into a noun, you end up with a T at the end. So muscularity, optionality. So it's optional. It's options, an option. And then you somehow get to optionality. But you'll hear sales bros are doing this these days. If you keep an ear out, you'll hear on shows or just around the office, you'll hear people starting to add ality to the end of words. And so the ANCE, it's got something like that going on. Anyway, I'm going to say that 20 is probably long enough. If I ever need to expand it beyond 20, I'll say 24 just to be safe. I can't imagine going beyond 24 characters for this. But yeah, so I don't know if you saw if you give a mouse a cookie bit that I was doing, but hello, Phil. Where are you from? What brings you here? If you give a streamer your name, that's the end of it. Then you got to start spelling your whole life story. Or not. All right. So that one, let's get away from that. And I need to go make that change in the database. All right. So I'm going to go make it in the database. So we're going to go alter table, plan, add column, reupance, text. And I want to check this out real quick because I don't remember how you do it. Postgres, varchar. Should I just call? I think it should just be varchar actually. So I think I should just do varchar 24, right? Oh, not text varchar, duh. Just varchar. Oh, plans, of course. Okay, and then let's try alter. What's the other one? Alter table. What's one I just did recently? Because I did text and I should have done varchar. Yeah, because I'm gonna. Because I'm gonna do the foreign key relationship. So I need to go back. What was it? This one? No. Yes. So this one. So that should give me an error. Okay, so alter table, billing frequencies, alter column, and then there's a way to change type. It's probably just change type. Let's see, alter column, slug, varchar 24. Type. Yeah, there we go. That worked. Okay, and then the other thing we need to do is I need to do it over here as well, but we're going to add we're going to add for here, which I probably should have called billing frequency or whatever. I'm going on with it. I need to add a constraint that, and I mean, I can always change it before I push it live. So I'm just having fun. Billing frequencies. There we go. Re-uppance. References. Billing frequencies dot slug. Deferrable, deferred, yada yada. Okay, and then over here I actually need to go drop that as well. When I drop payment services, I also need to drop billing frequencies. And then I'm going to have to, when I do the first migration down, I'll have to drop that out. Okay. But then I don't actually remember how to do the foreign key constraint in SQL, so I'm going to go look that up real quick. So Postgres add foreign key constraint. Okay. So is it, how do I add constraint? Okay, alter table, add constraint, blah, 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 blah. Got it. Let me just have this. I'm going to have this over in the other window real quick so I can copy over from it. Okay, so alter table, what was it? Plans. Add constraint. And then we're just going to call this BFFK. Re-uppance FK. Foreign key, whoops, if I could spell foreign key, and then, oh, that's right, re-uppance, references, billing, frequencies, slug. Oh, okay, so foreign key. Oh, crap. Like this? Okay, cool. That worked. All right, so now that's in place. So now let's go look at this one more time. So if we select... Well, I guess that doesn't matter. So then in code... I need to give an end date. And eventually what I'll use, I've got this library. Oh, so Phil says, from Hong Kong, just caught the end of some of your other streams. Well, good. I'm glad that you like them enough to decide to join in. It's good to have you. And, oh, by the way, I should mention, I haven't mentioned this the last couple ones. I forgot. If you want to join in on the Discord, somebody suggested that we have a Discord. And so now we have a Discord. So there, feel free to join in on the Discord if you so care to do so. Basically, we just have a little bit of chatter when there's a number of people on during the stream. And then I will announce there when I try to announce there somewhere between 5 and 20 minutes before I start the stream. Or if there's something coming up in a week that's a specific stream, or if you want to request something specific, ask me a question, you know, all that kind of thing. Okay. So, what's the next little bit that we need to do here? I need to add, to change the code a little bit. Really, So I've got this library called XTZ that will translate time zones, and you can set things in the future in a particular time zone, and it'll be respective of daylight savings time and leap year and that sort of thing. So if you need to have something happen a year in the future, you can. I'm not going to pull that in right now. And it works in the browser and in Node, by the way. And I think I exported it in such a way that it's easy to use in either. So if you just look xtz.js, let's see, I'll put the link here. It's kind of silly. I call it both TZ and XTZ, but xtz.js will get you to it for sure. And yeah, you can use it. You can use it in the browser. You can use it in Node, and it will do the things that you need it to do. And it's very lightweight. However, I have had a report that because it uses INTL, it's not as performant as other solutions that parse the datetime library directly, which ends up being something in the realm of several megabytes. I think it's a few dozen megabytes. But anyway, because it uses INTL, the code is very small and very simple, but INTL is may be on the slow side. I haven't performance tested it myself, but it may be on the slow side because INTL may not be hot loading. It might be doing a syscall through the operating system to get time zone information every time, in which case the operating system would be reloading and reparsing the time zone file potentially every single call. So I don't know how it's implemented, but if if you need to do, say, thousands in a second, I mean, test it and see. But the code is very, very simple. It's about as simple as it can be. I don't know how to make it simpler, otherwise I would. INTL is not very friendly. For all the standard bodies do, they don't give us things that are easy to use. Anyway, let's see. Do I have this? Yeah, we have this in Node. Maybe I will just put it in here. I think I will just put it in here. So if I'm going to do that, though, then I probably want to add time zone information for the user as well. I'm going to delay this. I'm going to put this in my to-do file, and this is not going to be an immediate to-do. So let's go to my to-do file, and in the to-do we will have, I don't know, I'm not going to put this in the short list. I'm going to put this in the don't forgets, and I'm going to put this as user time zone info. And then xtz.js future dates. Okay, so for this, what we're actually doing right now, I do need, okay, I'm going to go back into the database again. I'm going to go back into the seed file first. So let's go into here. And then, okay, reupance is yearly. Great. So let's go into the database. And we're going to select star from plans. Which maybe I should go do that over here. Where, there we go. Select star from plans. And then let's see. Oops. Update plans set reupance equals yearly. And there we go. Cool. So now let me go back over here. We're going to go back into the application. And we're going to set, when a purchase is created, so let me go to purchase.create. We should say end at, I guess we should have null be the default. So let's say let end at, I guess here, whatever. End equals null. But we could say if plan this will be a good function. I'm going to put this into, so we're going to switch plan dot, reappance. So we have a case for yearly. We have a case for never. So if it's never, we're just going to break. And then we're going to have a case for default. Default will be throw new error. And we'll say is no code is written to parse into a time no can't turn blop into a duration. That's it. Okay. So we'll say end is equal to, what is it? Date.now plus, and we'll just, well, I guess we could say we do new date. Then we do end get, no, set year is end.get full year plus 1. And where that doesn't work is on February 29th, which happens once every 4 years. What you'd actually like is for the renewal date to be on February 28th, the following year. And this will push it to March 1st. But pushes February 29th to March 1st. FYI. But other than that, this is a pretty good way to go. Set full, I guess what should be full UTC year, UTC set full year, set UTC full year, set full year UTC. I got to go check that out in the console real quick. I forget this. Let D equals D dot get full year. Wait, D dot get UTC full year. Yeah, there we go. Now this shouldn't make a difference with the way this is being done. But then we should be able to set UTC full year D dot get UTC full year plus 1. So generally these things work the way that you expect, in that if something rolls over, say for example you try to get November 32nd. This will roll over to December. I don't know if it's December 1st or December 2nd, but it'll roll over. It'll just take the days that are left over and then it'll roll them over again. So, and this will work the whole way up. So if you just working with dates and times, there's a lot, people like to use these big, huge, giant libraries, and I'm always going to say the same thing, which is that you're better off just learning how to use your tools that are in your language. Learn how the native tools work. Nobody ever regretted knowing how the things work. Well, maybe they did. Maybe they did. I'm sure that someone has gotten fired for knowing how things work. Probably because they were, an arrogant little beezy. Anyway, that's right. So it's set UTC full year, get UTC full year plus 1. I would prefer to, if I wanted to handle that case, that's the way I would handle it, but it doesn't really matter. And let's just throw in monthly there as well. And then same thing. It just set. Oh, and then we have to do this little business. Because we used let. All right. UTC month. And remember, there's a difference between day and date. And remember that month is 0 indexed, which is really weird because nothing else is 0 indexed. But so it is. It's kind of interesting that that happened that way. Oh, we need to have the break here, and we need to have the break here. And I put the break at the bottom rather than inside. Technically, it may be possible to put the break inside, but breaks apply to blocks. And so I just have a bad feeling in my little toe about putting the break inside the block. And plus, if you put it inside the block, it goes to the other visual representation. And so I think that this is just another little reminder. I'm actually surprised my linter. Let's see if my linter was picking up on that. Is my linter picking up on the fact? Okay, expected break statement. Yes. Okay, good. So my linter is picking up on it either way. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Oh, and Imperium. Hello, Imperium. Now, who are you precisely? Have we met before? But by the way, since y'all are joining in, and as people are coming and going, if any of this is useful, if you find that, either you like my face or that this is actually useful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Otherwise, you can give it a thumbs down. Every thumb helps. But here's the Discord. If either of you, well, Mike, you're already in the Discord, I think. Try JetBrains tools to perform true leverage experience, highest levels of productivity. Blessed Siege. Okay, yeah, I kind of remember Blessed Siege. So why are you changing usernames? Also, what did you turn into an ad bot? Try JetBrains tools to perform its leverage. I mean, come on. What? This is straight out of the advertising material. Yeah, I do recall that you asked my net worth, but why JetBrains? Well, no, I don't really want to know why JetBrains. I'm good with Vim. Vim works in all environments, and I don't feel that my productivity is limited by my keystrokes. It's limited by my stupidity. If you watch the last session, you will see that is where my limits come in. Anyway, this is good. So now we'll have an end date. And the end date can be, if the end date is null, that's fine because we allow a null end date. So now end date is end. And then start is going to be now. And then what else do we need for this? Okay, so we need, let me go back to my, what was it, db.md. All right, so we got the end date. We're pretty good there. I'm just going to run this thing here. Let's do delete from purchases. Oh, no. Well, I guess those users won't get their product. I just want to run this again. So I'm going to go, we're at the settings page. I'm going to do this each way. Heaven help me, please work. We're going to do checkout with PayPal. And I'm hoping I should end up with an email address. Let me look at the code before I run this, because I should end up with an email address. Actually, before I look at the code, let me look at my database. So my database says that a purchase belongs to a product through a plan, may belong to a user, belongs to an email. And if I remember the flow of this, which I documented up here, if I'm doing a one-time order, I'm going to get the request, which is going to give me the email, and then I'm going to get, the approval is going to give me the email, and then the payment's going to come through. So if I have a purchase, when I get an approval, I should get the email. So let me go look at the code. If I've got an order, all right, and I take the order, here's the details of the order. I'm grabbing it. I'm making sure that it's in a good state. If the order is in a good state, I'm activating the order. So when I activate the order, I should have an email address. So order.payer.email address, right? So let me look here again. I've got my, it's in the other bit here. Let me make sure. So payment capture completed. That's what happens on order. So I've got resource dot, wait a minute. Oh no, this is capture completed. That's the payment. So it is checkout order completed. Okay, so I've got the resource, and then inside of the resource, I have purchase units, and I have links. What? Oh, I have payer. .payer.email address. Okay, so let me get back over here, and I'll check out those comments in just a second. All right, so activate order.payer.email address. That should be there. I shouldn't even need that question mark. So if email, we're going to go find the user. We're going to fetch the user if we can. If we don't have a user, that's okay. We're going to grab some information. We're going to take about the purchase. Okay, so we should be updating the email of the purchase because we should have an email. This should always be true. Okay, I'm feeling pretty confident about that. I want to be able to get rid of this if statement. If the order went through, we got an email address. If it's a PayPal order. Okay, and that comment that it was a to-do I deleted, that's because I've already handled that case in a sane enough way. Okay. All right. So I'm going to activate their purchase, and then we're going to capture their payment. And this kind of makes sense. And the reason we check for completed is because by the time we get the webhook, the capture probably already happened. So the webhook in this particular case of activating order is a backup in case something goes wrong with the user's browser session, network connectivity fails, whatever, and the browser never instructs us to, hey, the user approved it, go capture the payment. Then, yeah. Okay. So yes, I feel very confident that this purchase should end up with an email. And I feel confident that this purchase should end up with a plan, because the plan, the product plan was set right. Where was it? No, we don't. Let me go to order. And I will get to that comment. Sorry for the little bit of wait here. Oh, and then I still need to fix this. I've got a to-do there already. All right, good. So purchase has the plan right there. I guess we could set the end date right here as well, right? Where did I set end at? Did I only do it for subscription? Because the end should actually be, yeah, I need to do that real quick. Whoops, go back, switch. What did I do wrong? Oh, there we go. So this was for subscribe. So what this should be is get end date. and then we're going to hand it a plan dot reupance. And then we're going to do like that. And this is going to be the function get end date. We'll call this frequency instead. Be a little less silly. All right, so I'm going to take this whole bit, I'm going to move it, and then I'm not going to forget to put the return in there. I'm not sure where I'm going to move it. I'm going to move it somewhere, probably at the bottom of these routes to deal with all this stuff. Webhooks, probably right after this is where I'll put it. And I'll move it somewhere else eventually because it doesn't belong in here. But for right now, just as a little helper method, yeah, this is where it's going to go. All right, and then at the bottom of this, we just need to return end. Okay, now let me check this out. Hey, thanks for the thumbs up, Mike. Appreciate it. Knowledge is limitless and boundless, but leverage is a different concept. Let's see. So you're speaking in superlatives, Imperium. So I don't remember where you come from, but I think that your English sounds very honorific / superlative, which will not come across to Americans in probably the way that you are intending. I think that's where I'm getting thrown off a little bit. We don't use a lot of honorifics and superlatives in this way. Okay, M1 Pro or M1 Max. So I'm getting the M1 Max because it has dual video encoders. Because M1, it would be perfectly sufficient for what I do here. But when I go to the meetups and I have two cameras running, potentially, and then I have a capture card running, and then I have two output encodings going at the same time. So between all those things, the M1 itself is really sitting on the edge of what it can do. The M1 Pro might be enough, but it only has one video encoder. The M1 Max has two video encoders. So between the hardware encoding, with which there's two, and then the potential for GPU and CPU encoding, I feel that M1 Max is going to be give me plenty of headroom. Whereas the M1 Pro, because it's essentially just a beefed up M1, it's the M1 times 2, more or less. I don't know that having twice the CPU and GPU power will be enough to handle those situations. And I could be wrong, but we'll see. Also, congratulations on being a dad. Saw the short video posted the other. Thanks. Yeah, so I have a daughter who's 2, and then my son was just born. So, yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right. So that out of the way, let me go back over here, and we're going to do frequency. But yeah, why don't so Imperium? Why don't you do a little short video showing off what you think is great about JetBrains? Especially, put it in contrast to the way the Vim works or something, and share it with us. If you send it to me on Discord, which I think I gave you the Discord link. Did I just give you the Discord link? Yeah, I did. If you share it with me on Discord, because I don't allow posting links in the chat. The reason for that being just because there's so much spam that maybe once the channel grows a little bit, it won't be such a big deal. But right now, the spam ratio on comments with links is higher, so I just turned off comments with links. But maybe when the channel grows, I'll re-enable it. Anyway, if you share it with me on Discord, then I will repost it to the channel so everybody else can see it. If you want to join in sometime and bring this topic back up. But I do like the autocomplete, but I get the autocomplete here. So for example, I'm not good about using it. Oh, it didn't work right there. Huh. Interesting. So right there, it's not working. I think I don't have autocomplete turned on on this computer. I think I have autocomplete turned on over here. So if I go over here, let me just check out a file real quick just to show you. I don't have the pop-up autocomplete. That kind of gets on my nerves. Whoops. Let's see, PayPal checkout JS. There we go. But if I just do, say I do sub, I just forget to use it. But the autocomplete is there. And I need to turn it on in the other places. That way, in fact, maybe I'll do that right now. I'm going to go open up my Vim config in the other window just because I don't think there's anything that's private in there. But just when I'm opening up stuff where I can't remember, I'm not sure. Set autocomplete. Auto. Let me just try bringing this over here and see if I get the same thing. Whoops. .vimrc. Okay, so now if I go back in here, and I should get better at this because I tell people all the time, typing is the leading cause of typos. Okay, that still didn't work, so I'm not quite sure. I'll have to go investigate why the autocomplete works on my other computer but not on this one. And I do need to start using it more because it would save me, but it just doesn't save me that much. It's not really, because the slowness is here. It's that the problem lies between the keyboard and the chair, not at the keyboard. It's an ID10T error. So for those of you that, no, I get that it's a, hold on. So there's the ID10T error. So let me see here. If you actually understand their products fundamentally, the reason to use their products is beyond autocompletion. As you said, it's not the place for the discussion. Hence, we'll pause topic. Yeah, you know, we can have the topic here. I mean, you know, I other people can chime in if you think, oh no, I don't really want to hear that. Like, let's move on. Feel free to chime in. You can say, you know, you can give me suggestions on the channel. I'm going to do what I feel is, you know, best for me, because that's what I'm going to do. But you know, I take those into consideration and weigh them, you know, appropriately for myself. So, you know, we can have that discussion here. It's totally fine. And we could just, you know, we could do it at the start of an episode or at the end of an episode, whatever. You know, it's fine by me. And this is my weekend project. I mean, it is building up into something bigger, but I can take time off to chat. And plus, this is part of what's fun about streaming, is having these little conversations. So even though I may vehemently disagree with you, doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the conversation. And in this case, I don't know if I vehemently disagree with you or not. I've seen people be crippled by tools that are too magical. And I don't think that I've ever... I don't know. I don't think that I've ever... I've heard of people going back to Vim. I guess I've heard of people going away from Vim, but it does what it needs to do. But I do like the idea of reasonable defaults and not having to configure everything. Anyway, I was here to activate order. I wanted to make sure that we were going to get an email. I made sure that we're going to get an email. I'm going to go ahead and finish this checkout process. And then in this other one, I've got the logs open. So, I didn't actually do anything yet. So let me go ahead and click Pay Now. Okay. And then what we should see, heaven willing, yeah. So here in the bindings, we can see there's an email address. So what could be happening is somewhere the email could be being set null. And I want to go check for that real quick. Do we have any places where there's an or null with email? So on activate, that should never happen. It should just be email. It should not be possible for this to be null. So I'm going to get rid of that. At least not when you're using PayPal. That should be part of the guarantee. The user ID, maybe they're part of the system, maybe they're not. But the email address, that should be there. Where else do we have an or null? Let me look specifically, okay, for a line like this. So this is a payment. Now the reason the payment might have email as null, again, this shouldn't be possible, but we can't constrain ourselves to possible and impossible because, as I say, impossible things happen all the time. But it should be impossible for us to get a payment where there is no purchase. That just doesn't make sense. But in the case that somehow we do get a payment, the thing is with a payment is incredibly important. So we don't want to err out on, dare I say, silly constraints. It's certainly not silly to tie a payment to a user. But if a user doesn't exist, if an email address, if a payment happens, we need to know. It doesn't matter how it happened. It doesn't matter where the error in the system is. We want a record of that payment happening. And so that's why what I accept in the payments table is very loose in terms of whether or not there has to be an email, whether or not there has to be a user. If the payment is not formatted correctly, then it's probably not a real payment anyway. But if the payment itself doesn't have a value in a currency code, well, what can I do at that point? So everything that comes from PayPal, we want to log. But in terms of what comes from us, our user, our email, doesn't matter. Need to capture the payment. So we're going to create the payment there, and then we're going to add a payment to the purchase, which should lead us back to the email. But okay, that one, it makes sense that I would actually do this. Let's put the or null up here. I think that's appropriate. I don't know. I like it down there. I think it's more readable. It gives clarity to the fact that in the case that, impossible, but we must allow the impossible and save record of payment at all costs. There we go. And then let's see if they're anywhere else. So here, payment again. What was it? Subscription is our subscription because the sale event, payment events do not include email information or customer information from PayPal. So again, I would put the same thing here that I put there. Whoa, what happened? Okay. So I would do the same thing here with the, subscription. Let's just say let email equals, yeah. I could just put this here for these two. Again, all that looks right. Okay, so I'm gonna check the comments in just a second. Let's see. Where's this email? Activate order email is going to be email address. So I think we're back to this case where, yeah. All right. And then, so I'm going to go look into lib purchases again and just look for any place where email might possibly somehow become null. So right here, for example, okay, there we're searching for where email is null because we want to update the email address. So here, when we activate a subscription, that's not something I really need to worry about. And where was that add payment? So add payment could have an email address in it. So if we have an email, we're going to add it to the update. That's great. And then this create, this get, activate. So activate could have an email as well, right? Yep. So if there's an email, then we're going to add it to the activation. This way, we're never deleting an email. We're only adding an email on the purchase. So I feel really good about that. Let's go here. I'm going to check to make sure there's no errors. There's no stack trace crap. Right now, I have way too much debugging printing out. Okay, this is good to know. Activating subscription, but we shouldn't be activating a subscription because we don't have a subscription. If I'm not mistaken, I might be going back too far. What time is it? Let's see. Let me see what time it is on the server. Server thinks it's 6:32. So this was a little bit ago. So I think that's okay. All right. So we're up to around this time. Now let me check on the all right, believe me, that depends on the person. Leverage is a double-edged sword wielded by both at top and the bottom. Is a much deeper conversation topic, I can assure you that. If IDEs actually crippled us, then logically the highest productivity will be achieved by writing machine-level code, but best of developers don't write code ones and zeros, a reason for certain. Well, again, so when you say leverage, you mean leverage is in a pulley system, meaning the mechanical advantage? I think that's what you mean by leverage is mechanical advantage. So tangible advantage. No, when I say crippled, I mean the people don't learn the basics of how something works. If you wanted to be a chef and you used an easy bake oven, you'd be kind of at a disadvantage. The easy bake oven has 0 settings. You put something in, you hit on, and then it bakes the cookies. But it only bakes one type of cookie, And so when people don't learn how to run their compiler, when they don't know what their compiler options are, when they don't know how to turn on the debugging options, when everything is abstracted away, and if there's not a clicky button for it that they can find, then they don't know what to do, then it's not possible for them to work in the environment where the code runs. And so that's a layer of abstraction that I think is crippling. Vim allows you to, I develop on servers. I don't develop on local hosts because inevitably, well, I do sometimes, but I except for when I have to because I don't have an internet connection. I prefer not to because when you develop on local host, you're dealing with a fake environment that doesn't represent the way that code actually deploys and the system constraints that actually exist. So you get a very false reality. And I think that it's beneficial to know how to use a computer. I don't think that you should skip learning how to use a computer to deploy code because you deploy code to computers. So, that kind of a thing. Mike says, got a question about choosing between 2 Linux OSs. Ubuntu. I haven't rather addressed a question yet. Ubuntu. Ubuntu is not stable sometimes. I'm thinking about using Manjaro. I would like to know your suggestion. So, okay, now I have to double back. I just said Ubuntu, but what is your use case? Are you trying to use it for a desktop or are you trying to use it for a server? What are you trying to use it for? My general feeling is that Linux isn't important. But it's important, but it's not important. You're going to use Linux, but it doesn't really matter which flavor you use. It just use the one that is the easiest. If you want to customize it as a hobby, that's different than being productive, I guess. And I think that Ubuntu is the best one to learn for being productive. Maybe Red Hat as a secondary, because Ubuntu is the most popular and easiest to use. And it's not, one Linux isn't better or worse than another for the most part. It's just different configurations of the same software. If you want to get max performance out of every clock cycle, then go with Arch or Gentoo. But I don't think that that's generally beneficial in the way that people work. You're absolutely correct. That's why I use the term double-edged sword. Wielded correctly helps you otherwise take you down. Okay, sure. Yeah. All right. We agree. Strong fundamentals. Yep. Yep. Totally agree. Yeah, but I just don't know. I mean, again, make the video. Show a comparison. Show why it is that you think JetBrains is great. And tell me. I had the opportunity to get a GoLand license. I actually won a raffle for a GoLand license, and I just said, I'm not going to use it realistically. Give it to somebody else. And so they did. I was kind of hoping that they would then let me select a different prize. That they would just like put me down. But then the next three things were Google Home and Nest and that sort of thing. And I don't want those either because I don't want that kind of stuff in my home. The one thing that I would have liked was the headphones. But they just put me back in the circulation. But anyway, so. But yeah, it's kind of tangent. Okay. Anyway, I'll get back to this now. So I'm scrolling through here. I was just looking to see here. It's I guess 37 it's 6:37 server time right now, and so I'm just looking through here. Do we have any error events? And I don't think we do. I think we've got some good captures. Yeah. So we got the approved, created, captured. We're seeing database logs. I've got database in debug mode. Payment capture completed. That came through. So I don't see any, okay. Here we go. So we did find an error here. Couldn't find associated purchase. Sanity error. Okay. This is really, really good. So we got custom ID, right? Is this what it is? Custom ID? Yeah, so that should not be possible. So let's take a look at that. I could have put in the wrong custom ID. We should see an invoice ID on some of these two now as well. Payment capture completed. I think there's probably something else wrong in this query, but let's take a look. The only binding is there. Select from purchases, and it says custom ID. So yeah, something definitely went wrong. Unless what this could be as well is this could be something being replayed. Let me see if we have a create time on here. So create time. Oh no, it has a create time and it doesn't have a time zone. But it looks as though this is from the 23rd. All right. So this event might be a replay of a previously failed event, which would make sense as to why in the testing environment we would be getting a failure, because the PayPal sandbox is sending this event every couple of hours. And if I don't handle it correctly, if I give back an error response, it's going to send it again. So PayPal's trying to make sure that you get the webhook, even in the sandbox environment. So I might have to wait 3 days or so for this to expire from the sandbox environment, if that's what it was. Because I'm assuming that this, it's specifying create time is about over a day ago. Yeah. So that makes sense. And if we decoded, actually, I would love to do this. This is one of the practical benefits of ULIDs, is that ULIDs tell you about when something happened. So I'm just going to look at this real quick. Let's see if there's a ULID decoder online. ULID decoder. Well, there we go. Hey, you want to make a quick, cool project that will get lots of use? Make an online ULID decoder. If you do, you will get the ranking for it, because nobody has online ULID decoder right now. And it'd be trivial to do. You could go get the JavaScript from the core repository, because what should have happened, let me show you what should have happened. Because they've got this already. If we go to ULID, okay, and we go to JavaScript, the code's already there, right? But look, about section, no demo page. So you go you grab this code, you make a simple HTML form. You basically just copy paste, create a simple HTML form, put up a web page, put it up as ulid.js.org. Okay, if nobody does this within the next 3 days, I think I might do it. Okay, so you go request, you go put up a GitHub pages for it, make it ulid.js.org, and then just take this and just have a little thing where you can paste in a ulid, and then it'll parse it out into the time component to show you when the ulid was created. But let's see, I wonder if this has the decoder in it. But if it doesn't have the decoder, it's pretty simple to do. It's base 32. So you just do a splice, or a slice, and then you base 32 it. Oh, interesting. It doesn't have a decoder. Let's see. How many bits are... And this could be put in a UUID column for greater efficiency if it's a binary UUL. If the underlying storage is binary, you would actually get greater efficiency if you stored this as in a UUID, because you do get 128-bit compatibility with UUID. So it would not be a UUID v4. It wouldn't pass certain UUID parsers, but it would fit in the storage space in the database. Okay. But anyway, let me see. Oh gosh. How many? I think it's 48 bits. 48 bits. Let me go look at the spec real quick. Because what I want to do is I just want to double check that the timestamp of the ULID is in line with the timestamp of what PayPal is showing. So what's the slice that I need to do? Okay, 48 bits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, does that make sense? I don't know if it makes sense or not. So it's 120 bits. 16. The binary format has not been implemented in JavaScript as of yet. That's okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I don't know. Maybe I'm not going to do it right now. Because then I have to go dig out the base 32, my Bob. It's okay. I think I'm going to do an at root ULID that has the encoder and decoder. And that, is my typical fashion of dependency free and all that. But let me just do this real quick. Let's see. Let's see. We're going to do dot slice 0 to 10. But then I've got to take it from integer time to, well, that should be seconds. So if I take this from base 32 decoder, I'm not sure if this is seconds or milliseconds. But no, all right, so this is the wrong base 32. So I think there's a more official base 32, but Crockford base 32 is the one that people believe in, crap. He doesn't have a decoder. Sorry, I'm not going to spend too much time on this more, but I do. There we go. Crockford decode. No, but I want the integer representation, actually. Bah. All right, I give up. I give up for now. Let's put that on my AJ's to-do list. Solve the world's ULID problems. Wide open space, though. Very simple problem to solve, relatively speaking. Well-contained project. You could do it. You could make a name for yourself and be the world's foremost expert in ULIDs. Because the people who designed the spec are not the world's foremost experts in it because they did not create the world's best implementation. So there you go. Okay, so I'm checking this out again. Hey, Dave. Oh, David. Sorry, I don't want to shorten your name just to be redonkulous. I can share references. First, I'm going to go back up here. I can share references with you. JetBrains have furnished plenty of readings already. Would be better to refer to their documentation. I believe in making video takes a lot of time away from. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm really interested about your thought process and mentality and whatnot, Imperium. So yeah, hit me up on Discord. Let me see if you already did. No, join in the Discord channel unless you don't want to, but let me know. All right, and yeah, as they say, time is incontrovertibly irrecoverable. Yes. Blah, blah, blah. David says hi, and I say yes. Do I drink coffee and tea? How do you get the energy to code on the weekends? So I am, I present, have, whatever, I don't know what the right terminology is. So I've recently discovered that I am ADHD. And I am a workaholic. And this has kind of been a thing for, my whole life. But I hyper focus on things and then I have this contradiction of hyper focusing and having divergent thought processes. And so in order to feel good, in order to feel happy, I actually have to have a sense of accomplishment. And I primarily get that through working on things. And so after I work on something and I get to a good point and then I stop, then I go take a break and spend time with fam and whatnot. But that's not, what most people consider a great and fulfilling life. Most people want to say, I want to work as little as possible and spend as much time as possible with family and relaxing. For me, I need to be busy with things. And that's just part of the way my brain works. And I'm learning a little bit more about this. Because at first I just thought that ADHD was more of a personality trait. It's just typically people who are above average intelligence, they get bored easily because things in school are not challenging. Because things in school in particular are geared towards people who are well below average intelligence. The whole no child left behind, etc., which you wouldn't know about unless you're American. But it turns out that it's actually a completely different way of perceiving the world in the same way that autism is different. In fact, they say it's very similar to autism. And so the way that I perceive the world, things that are laughable to me are serious to you and serious to you laughable to me. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but there's just conversations I've had with my wife where she thinks, how could anyone ever be this way? Which is actually the way that most people would think. And for me, I was thinking, why in the world would you ever want a world like that? But it's a difference in the way the brain processes information and sees things. Okay, so anyway, what I'm going to say here is that it'll be another fun project to create a UUID decoder, but I'm not going to do that on this session. Maybe I'll do that next session just for fun. Okay, and I think the same thing's happening here. Couldn't find an associated subscription. So I think these are looking at the wrong thing. I could be wrong, but let's see what this timestamp is on this one. Yeah, so this one is October 17th. Was that? Yeah, so I can see why that failed, because what we're seeing is old events that are being retried in the sandbox mode. They just happen to come in while I was running that other process. And then I do want to see, there was another error here. Undefined bindings detected when compiling update. This is actually an important error that we need to solve, whether or not it's related to anything I was doing. This should not be possible to have an undefined ID. So I want to look at where that came from if I can. Maybe I won't find it. Since I have, excuse me, the debug mode found here, couldn't find associated subscription. So that's impossible, but either this should error out. We shouldn't have an unexpected, a truly unexpected error. So this should either error out and not continue on, or the next part should partially succeed. We shouldn't have an undefined ID in this query, which is an insert, and it's an insert to payments. And so what did we have here? Let me see, what was the event? Payment sale completed is what fired this off. So this went into the webhook. So let me double check on that, because even though it's probably not related to what we just did, well, it's definitely not related to what we just did, because we just did a one-time purchase with a pay now. Which, by the way, I think I said buy now somewhere. Yeah, this should be pay now. Let's go down to where we have payment.sale. There we go. And then this part right here. So that returned null. Yeah, see, impossible to be missing. Just like I said, it's impossible and missing, but we must allow the impossible. We encountered an impossible case. It happens to be in sandbox mode, but whatever. All the same. So where is the bit where if subscription... Okay, so why do we think that there's a subscription on this? Couldn't find associated subscription. So there's no subscription, so this should not execute. Subscription FK. All right, so I'm guessing in payments.create is where the problem is going to be there. That makes sense according to what I saw over here. We had the select first. Couldn't find associated subscription. And then we have insert into, and then our error is the ID. Update purchases set payment FK where ID equals. Okay, so something went wrong with... Okay, where was, whoops, sorry. So, okay. Where did it go though? This was an insert. Update. So the insert, oh, I think this is the problem. I think the insert actually completed successfully, but then a subsequent update failed. And so update would have failed on this purchase ID. So let's take a look at that purchase ID. Where did that come from? It came from here. So that kind of makes sense. So if not purchase, so I guess this would just be if purchase ID. Again, also impossible to not exist. But that's okay. All right, so now if we go look at the database, we should see if we select from purchases, we should only have one thing that's in there right now, and it should have, let's check and see, does it have an email? It should. Yep. Does it have a payment FK? It should. Does it have a start at? It should. And does it have an end at? And I think that should as well. And the end at was, All right, so something's wrong there. Are these the same? Or are they different? 44. That's actually quite odd to me. I must have done something wrong. So start at 2021, 10/24, 06/26, and the end at date is sooner than the start at date. That seems a little bit odd. Let's see. And I'm going to go check those comments in just a second. I want to review how this end at date could possibly be set to 20 minutes before the start at date. That just doesn't seem right. One thing that may have happened, I think this is actually quite likely, is that when I was goofing around, ad hocing the database, I don't think that I set the end at date. So I think I need to do alter table purchases, alter column end at default null. Timestamp. Set default null. There we go. Okay. And then I need to figure out why the end at didn't get set is the other thing. So I'm just going to take a quick peek here. So maybe I'm mistaken, and I think set, yeah, get UTC full year, set UTC. That should get end date. Oh, I set this in subscribe. I think I forgot to set it in order. Did I set it in order? I did not. All right, so that solves that problem. It should be end at, and then I'm going to go check the comments. Okay. So, any source to learn advanced Git. Git is pretty hard no matter what people say. Tell me more about what you think is hard in Git. And what I'm going to recommend to you is my own Beyond Code. There's a couple that I've done. There's the Beyond Code channel on YouTube. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Beyond Code Bootcamp. I've got a couple of playlists, one specifically on Git, and it has a 1 hour live session where I go through, I think I called it Get Smart, which is double punny. Yeah, so there's the Git mini course playlist, and one of them is called Get Smart, and that's an hour long. And then this other stuff, I think if you watch, the grand total on here looks like about 2 hours, maybe a little shy of 2 hours total. And I think that this is a really good source. So take it or leave it. Beyond Code Bootcamp, Get Smart. So let's see. All right, good. That went through both on the Twitches and the YouTubes. Am I all out of Mountain Dew? No, I still got some. Oh, also, one of the key things about caffeine, if you want it to work well, is you got to drink enough water also. So I should have drank more water if I want, but I don't actually want to stay up all night. Caffeine actually makes me sleepy, depending. So what I find is that if I have a 12-ounce can of Mountain Dew, I want to have 24 ounces of water or be hydrated ahead of time. So often in the morning when I wake up, I try to do this every morning, but I'm not super good about it. So I do about half mornings, which is pretty good for somebody with ADHD. I drink a full 24 ounces of water right in the morning, and then that, basically, if you need to pee every 20 minutes, you're hydrated. You're good to go. Of course, it's kind of annoying because then, well, maybe not every 20 minutes, but every hour or two. But it makes for great work breaks because you have to get up and go. But I keep water at my desk. Sometimes, not at this desk as much as I should, but at my work desk, I keep water at my desk. I haven't been drinking it because I need to rinse it out because it's got old water in it. I've been too lazy to take out the old water and rinse it out. But anyway, point being, stay hydrated, and the caffeine will actually work better. It'll get through your system better, and do its job. But again, I think caffeine is very different for people that are ADHD, meaning that. So one of the things is we get prescribed stimulants, not narcotics, methamphetamines. So speed. It's a prescription for us because it helps the brain to be stimulated and focus or something or other. I don't know. I don't really know. I really know very little about it, but I am learning a little bit here and there. Okay, so there was the pay now action. All right, good. So I found the bug where we didn't have the correct INDAT date. I suspect that if I run that again, that code's going to work now. I'm going to go ahead and try the subscribe process. I do want to see do we have any other errors that are kicking out here? This was the same one we were looking at before. Yeah, because ideally, I would actually like any of these errors that are coming in the sandbox environment, these impossible conditions. I would like to respond favorably to the impossible conditions. And so this is really great that we have them. But I would like to respond favorably to them, to PayPal, so that it'll stop sending them to me, and so that I know that my app is resilient in the face of impossible conditions, where something that I just don't expect could happen. Okay, so the next step is we're going to go back here. I probably should close out a bunch of these tabs. I don't think I need them. I don't need that anymore. This one is just great. This is just great. I can put that at the front for when I need that again. Let's get rid of this, get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this. All right. Come Tuesday, if nobody has taken me up on that idea of having ulid.js.org, I'm going to do it. And then I will be the world's foremost expert on ulids. And again, anybody could do this. This is one of those things where when you see the opportunity, seize it. Because then you get to be the world's foremost. You get to be the number one search for something. And in case of ulids, it's something really good. If you look at the tweet, which since I've referenced it a couple times, I'm going to go grab it real quick. And I think I just saw a comment a little bit ago out of the corner of my eye, so I'll check on that in just a second. But I'm going to go share this tweet so that you can take a look at it and investigate it yourself. Here we go. UUIDs versus ULIDs versus auto increment. Okay, so we got a little bit of off topic here. Do you play video games on PS5? If so, what frequency? I do not play video games on anything other than the Nintendo Switch. I used to play on the Ouya as well because that's where I had Towerfall, and that is the only place where you can play Final Fantasy 4 or 5, the original, the real one. No, Final Fantasy 3, the real one. The Japanese, because the American version and the Japanese version have different numbers for 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, I still have an Ouya so that when I want to play the console version of that remake, which is only available on a console on the Ouya, if it ever comes to the Switch, I'm putting my Ouya on eBay or chucking it. I don't know. But I play Nintendo, and that's all I play. And typically I play with other people. So I will play... It depends. In the winter, usually I get coded out, and then I just binge on video games, maybe for a whole week. And I slack off at work, not because I intend to, but just because seasonal affective disorder. And then I mean, it's happened when I've been a consultant. I literally take a week or two off. There was one year when I took 2 months off, and I was so scared because I had no motivation to do anything. Thankfully, it was from November until the first week of January. And I was so scared that I'd somehow lost my mojo and I was never going to code again. But every time I sat down on the computer, I just couldn't do it. But I binged on video games and reading books is what I did. And typically that happens to me in the winters where I just get depressed. I get seasonal affective disorder and I binge and I'll just play. But yeah, it hasn't happened in a while. And if that happens, I'm going to be streaming Skyward Sword because I started Skyward Sword and I want to finish it, but I've been too focused on code. I do have Need for Speed, which I think is also on PS5 maybe, but I've never been a fan of gamer consoles. I just like Nintendo. It's family friendly. And the only thing I play that isn't family friendly is, depending on your definition of family friendly, I think that it's family friendly-ish, is Final Fantasy. But it's so hard to play Final Fantasy and Zelda because you really do have to binge it. You can't take a break for 3 months and go back to it because then you can't remember where you were. Thankfully, since I was streaming Skyward Sword, I can figure out where I was because I can go watch the last 30 minutes of where I was. But getting the controls again, learning every time, it's so hard to sit down and have to figure out the controls because I can't remember. But I really love Mario Kart and Towerfall and Bomberman. The just simple multiplayer games is where I find myself the most. But I do occasionally, like I said, I binge on Zelda or something. Okay, so with this, it's time to go finish the subscription. So let's go do that right now. I'm just going to get rid of this bit here. And then after that, once I've confirmed the subscription is working again, and I know that everything's right in the database, then I'm just going to write that query and then I'm going to head off to bed. And I actually feel pretty good about this session, although very little progress has been made. I feel really good about everything settled in. I understand my system. I understand what it needs to move towards in the future. And I've confirmed that I want to stop saying as well. That the cases that I want to handle well seem to be being handled well. Okay, subscription billing created. And I would, if you've got any advice on how to do better integration testing on a system like this is where I get stuck up on testing, is that a lot of stuff, if it's something that I can publish to NPM, it's easy to test because you can unit test it, right? Typically, the PayPal SDK is a little bit difficult to test because it actually requires user interaction, but granted that it prints out on the screen something and you copy and paste the URL, you click the button. It does require some manual effort there. Could probably be automated with Cypress or whatever. But generally speaking, if I publish something to NPM, it's usually something that can be tested fairly easily. But with this kind of thing, it's all integration testing because you're testing that your database is set up correctly and you don't accidentally have something that's, you're not accidentally putting in null values or there's not a condition where you can put in a null value where there shouldn't be one, or, you know what I'm saying? You actually have to have a full-fledged environment that's really end to end. Let me see if that, okay, subscription activated went through, which means that right above here, yeah, payment sale completed went through. So let's go back over here and take a look. Let's do select star from purchases. Okay, and there's a little bit too much there, so let's do I want to see that we have an email. I want to see that we have a payment FK. And I want to see that we have a subscription FK. All right, so here's where I'm a little concerned. With the subscription, why did we not get an email? That's something that's wrong. So let's do this too. Let's do select a star from payments where ID equals, and we'll just paste that in and see what we get. Okay, so we got an email in the payment, but we didn't get an email in the purchase. So something went wrong, and I need to identify that. But I'm glad that we got an email in the payment. That's great. But why didn't we get an email in the purchase? And I should just do select star from payments and see what we get there. And we're going to get more because these webhooks that are failing are coming through, and some of them may even be coming through multiple times. Okay. It's basically, I kind of want to drop, I guess, everything that came through before a couple hours ago. Let's see. Let's do delete from payments where created at less than, and then I'm not actually sure how it does the date formatting. Can we do this? Is that going to work? Cool. Okay, and I actually want to get rid of all the ones from before 6, actually. Okay. And then let's get fewer of these. So let's see. Let's see if we can get email and subscription FK. So we got some that got nothing going on there. Let's see if we can get created at as well. Created at. Okay, so let's take a look. So these ones are recent, and they have neither email nor subscription, but I guess that they're probably going to have purchase. So let's go ahead and take a look at purchase FK. And I'll take a look at comments again. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention if we got more of those. Column purchase FK does not exist. So what do we have on payments then? Subscription, payment. Yeah, so I don't like that we're missing as much information as we are. Especially because these I think are the old ones. And we should be able to see that by looking at something. But we don't get a lot of information from the payment, I think is the problem. If we're lucky, let me see if I can select ID. So these all created around the same time? Yeah, because I think the ID is going to reflect it's created at. So if we're lucky, we get the custom ID in the payment. Let me go back to the examples of the payment, and I'm going to check this out as well. Yeah, I'm happy to chat about all that stuff. Okay, payment capture completed. Just check in once again. We got a payment amount, we got seller, we got final capture, we got receivable, custom ID. So if we do not have a custom ID in the sale, which we didn't for some of the older ones, then we have no way to link this payment. No, oh wait, we got order ID. Okay, so those ones are probably replays because they're missing the order ID, or they're going to fail because they have an order ID for an order that doesn't exist. Yeah, I don't know exactly what this one was, but that doesn't look right. Order ID, it just doesn't look right to me. Oh no, that's the PayPal order ID. Got it. Okay. So that's going to be the external ID. Yeah, so let's check here. So we should be able to take a look at, oh, is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. So let's take a look at subscription FK, and then let's say external ID. Okay. So okay. So we probably don't have those. Okay, so that's probably not too much to be concerned about. But what I am concerned about is if we go back to purchases, how did we get a subscription that has no email address? Because again, if I go back over here and I look at the event for a subscription, billing subscription activated. Oh, that's me. Subscriber email address should be there. So let's go look at that code one more time. I'm going to run this one more time, then I'm going to be done for the night. Assuming that it works. Okay. Okay. So in this return, activate subscription. It's right there. Activate subscription. All right, if we don't have a subscription, and status isn't active, then we're going to throw an error. We're not going to activate it. Activate a subscription. Email. Do I have a typo there? Subscriber.email address. Let's just put a console.log in here, put a little debug. Debug email. Oh no. Oh, good. It came back. All right, now I'm going to go check. Let me go check here. Did I get that right? Subscriber email address. Just type it out. Subscriber.email address. Subscription. Okay, and the subscription, let's just, make sure. I don't see how this could possibly subscription. Activate subscription. It's going to get the details of the subscription. If the other place it comes in, It's going to be resource. If the subscription is activated, console.log subscriber. Let's put a debug here. Debug subscription return subscription.subscriber. All right. So this is subscription is activated. Oh, I think I see what I did wrong here. I didn't. There we go. That's what it was. Purchase, activate. Okay, that's where the email was missing. Cool. All right, with that, I feel very confident that now I'm going to be able to look up and see. So I just want to write that query real quick, just so that I've got it handy. I'm going to look up and see, is this, what purchases does this person have? So maybe what I'll do, let me think about this for a second. Select star from users. Yeah. How about insert into users values, nickname, let's see, UUID equals, I don't even remember if this is how it works. I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I guess it should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Nickname. Oh, Joe Blow. Let's see. Don't care about zone info, maybe. Or created at, updated at. I don't think I care about those. I don't remember exactly how this works. Is it like this? There's some way to do this. Let me go check that out real quick. Postgres, update values. No, insert values. Oh, okay. Insert into, it's on the other side. I just got it off a little bit. Values. Okay, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. 1, 3, 4. All right. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ah, indeed. There we go. Great. These are some of my favorite UUIDs right here. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to give Joe Blow all of these purchases. We're going to do update purchases, set user FK equals. There we go. Joe Blow gets all the existing purchases. That solves one of our problems. So now let's go test this again. All right, so I'm going to set up a one-time subscription. What I need to do is have a little script that creates a new user. That's always helpful to have. All right, so that, what did I just do? I wasn't even paying attention. Did I do the order? Yeah, I did order. Okay, so I did order, and so now that one already looks like it was going to work from previous tries. Now I'm going to do subscribe. So now we go and do subscribe. And again, boom, boom. Boom. All right. And so let's see. I don't expect any stack traces. I've got, not holding out too much hope, but I think I've pretty well tested it manually at this point. All right, so let's go ahead and just take a look at the database. Select star from purchases where email equals, no, not where email, where user FK is null. And then let's not select star, let's select email, plan FK, payment FK, and then what, I don't know, subscription FK. Subscription FK. Woof. It's a whole lot of empty. User FK. Huh, that seems wrong. Oh, user FK, that's as email. Whoops. There we go. So what didn't I like about where user FK is null? Because you can't equal null. Duh. Semantics. Null is not equal to null in SQL. So you have to do is null. Kind of like is NAND. Okay. This makes me happy. All right, so take a look real quick at created at. And these ones, they looks like they happened very recently, within the last 4 minutes. Good. So I think that's about right. So let's get rid of the email. We don't need to worry about the plan, probably. Let's just look at these from the perspective of start at and end at. So they end 1 year from now. And you know what we could probably do with this whole end at thing? We could probably give it an extra day. Just, be generous. Give it an extra day. Or, we want some sort of leeway time on this. Because I really don't want to say, oh yeah, at the hour here. And I'd like to base it off of their time zone. This really started at an index, really just started to be a day. Anyway, that's okay. I don't need to worry about that. I mean, I can ignore it when I pull it out of the database or round, whatever. This is fine. Yeah, and that's indexable-ish. I probably do want to have indexes on those, huh? Because I am going to be searching on them quite a bit. But, okay, let's not look at that anymore. And let's say where start at is greater than now, or is less than now, is less than or equal to now, and end at is greater than now. And there we go. Cool. I think that's it. So I'm just going to put that query in the application. First of all, what I'm going to do is this deserves a whip because things are working. Whenever things are working, time to whip, you know? So let's say whip. Manual testing is, where's the, boom. Perfect. All right, and then what do we do if we just want to say purchase.find current maybe? We want a user ID. That's probably all we need. And then this is wrong, and that this should be a promise. Of a purchase, right? Isn't that what all of these be? Surprised it's not griping at me. Do I not have TS lint installed? Oh, that's probably my deal. Yeah, I really did. So on my personal project list, let me go back to list.js.org. I'm going to pull this over on the other screen real quick. And I'm going to add to my personal project list. What do we got piling up here? So we've got personal project list. We've got ulid.js.org for decoding ulids. We've got, what was the thing I was just looking at? Oh yeah, type lint init, and then we've got the RND string generator. Things piling up on my worthy to-dos. All right. Should probably put that on GitHub. Okay, we're closing up on the end here. Thanks for all that tuned in, especially those of you that commented and shared ideas with me. Really appreciate it. It is wonderful. All right, so this one, I think it's a promise. Oh, whoops. I guess that shouldn't be that way. Let's get rid of that. I forget. Does this syntax work? I think the syntax works. I'll see when I've got the typelint init set up. All right, so we're going to list current. And basically, let me just copy the get here. And then we have it. Let me go check. Do we have a revoked at for this? Do we have purchases revoked? We've got end at. I don't think we've got revoked on here. I suppose we could have a canceled. So I'm just going to put to do in here, cancel that. I forget which is the English and which is the American English and which is the British spelling. Okay. Select star from purchases where. And then we could just put a bunch of things in this where. So we've got the user FK, we've got start. Oh, no, we're going to do it this way because we have and where start at, and then we're going to do it's greater than or equal to, and we do new date. And then we're going to have another and where, but we're going to use a builder. So this is going to be return builder dot where end at, and start at should be less than or equal to. Right. So let's add some leeway into this as well. So today dot set hours 0, set minutes 0, set seconds 0. Do we have a set milliseconds? I'm sure we do. All right, var d equals new date, d dot set UTC milliseconds. All right, cool. I don't know. I'm not going to deal with that. To do round date to this morning. Okay. Where end at is less than. Wait, so we're start at. Hold on. I'm having a hard time thinking. Where start at is less than now. Where end at is greater than now. Okay. Or where end at null. Blah. And it's okay if we have rows length 0. It's okay to have 0 rows. And actually what we want to do for this is we want to be able to do the user ID or the email address. That's what I want to be able to do anyway. What do you think about this? Let's see. Else if email where.email where.email equals email, else return new error, developer error, passed, can't list purchases without user FK or email. All right. Oops. So what we might say here is user FK is a string and email is a string. Okay. Cool beans, cool beans. And then we give this the where. And that's okay. All right. So from this, I think I could create a little util and just list things. So let me create a utils, and then I'm going to create utils list purchases.js, and then we're going to do purchase equals require lib purchase.js, and then I'll do require .env .config path.env. There we are. We'll require purchase, and we'll have a little main function, and we will say let id equals process dot args 2. So usage is node list purchases ID or email. I'll await purchase dot list current, and we'll pass in user FK. So here's what we'll do with this. Let where equals, we're going to pass in where, and if ID, so if the ID has an @ in it, then we're going to do where.email equals ID, else where.userFK equals ID, and then we're going to do this await async main.catch function error console.error error and error. Failed to list current purchases. Let purchases equal, and then purchases dot for each. And let's just go ahead and loop. I'll call it P for short. Console.info p.price. I don't know. p.id, p.price, p.end at, p.plan ID. I do kind of want to add product onto this. And plan. I think that'd be worthwhile. All right, let's see if this works. Probably won't. And I know why. Process.exit1, return, and console.error, put out the usage. Huh. 0 is node, 1 is something. Why did this work the way that it did? Because we should see that there's no ID there. Console.log ID. Oh, holy moly. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm AJ. Who the heck are you? Welcome to the channel. I'd love to know who you are, where you're from, and what brings you here today. Oh, it's Kai. Yeah, you're welcome for the Twitter reply. So if you watch the beginning of this, Kai, I think that I did a 5 or 10 minute summary of pretty much everything that I've learned in the last 13 sessions. Basically I just have not been experienced with this payment stuff before, and so I just had a very meandering path through this. Okay. So I'm doing, if somebody can see where my error is here, let me know, because I'm obviously doing something wrong, but I don't quite understand what it is. Failed to list current purchases. Failed to, oh, did I just not look at, duh, it was telling me, it was right in front of my face. I thought, oh, it's getting too far to where I'm throwing an error. No, it's not. It's not getting anywhere. All right, cool. So let me go ahead and grab that email address. And see what we get here. Oh, right, I forgot. When you open the database connection and you finish, either way, you have to process.exit. Well, I guess here I could process.exit 1 here, or 0 here. I should process.exit 1. Okay. And then what was this part? I had price and then what? Price and then plan, oh, plan FK, not plan ID. There it is. Okay, cool. And then how about if I pick good old Joe Blow? Let's see what happens if I pick his user ID here. Oh, yeah. How about Jane? Nope, not a lot of. Cool, so this is looking good. Oh, no. I need to do a reset. Reset is a very handy command. When your terminal starts doing strange things, for example, if you ever cat a binary file and then blah, blah, blah happens, reset. And I'll check. Oh, no. Oh, reset didn't work. What am I going to do? What do you do when reset doesn't work? Oh. I might have to exit the shell and start over. Interesting. I guess I just needed to hit enter a few times as well. Oh, yes. I've had this problem before. So this happens when this is why this happens. When in the get type ahead, there is a multi-byte Unicode character. So get commit was in my type ahead in my last commit message. Manual testing is perfect. Well, what I meant to say is the manual tests are passing perfectly. But I put a multi-byte Unicode character in the message, and fish, I think it's fish, yeah, it must be fish, is not happy with that for some reason. And so if I go back to doing get commit, see, there it goes. But if I cancel that and I do get status, it'll be fine. So until I do another get commit where I do not include a multi-byte Unicode character, the terminal is going to screw up. But in general, fish doesn't screw up as often because there's a number of times that I used to run into these problems where the terminal gets screwed up, and I haven't run into it in fish very often, but I do run into it with my get commits when I occasionally put in the multi-byte characters. Anyway, I'll check that out in just a second. Let me just take a look at this real quick. Make sure these are the things that I intend to commit. Yeah. Ah! This is what? List purchases. Util to list purchases. Let me see if that did work. All right, cool. So now when I do get commit, it's not going to mess up anymore. I'm going to push this. I think there's one more thing that I wanted to do. Let me check my to-dos. I knocked out a couple of them. I didn't knock out as many as I thought I would. Yeah, you know, situation normal. So check the payment ID, move purchases from one account to another. No, and that should be down in the don't forgets anyway. And just in general. Show users current products or services. Yeah, more or less. I don't have this on the front end, but I got that. Don't let the user double subscribe. This should be more a result of that. Normalize DB. Kind of figured it out. Haven't really done anything with it. Paying logs unit, sign, paying performs a sign-in. That's something I want to do. The payer email address. Direct card payment. This is the next thing that I'm going to do. That one right there. That's the next thing on my short list. Okay, let me check out the comments. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, and everybody left. Fine. Fine. Go. Didn't need ya. Okay, well, I'm going to head to bed. So for those of you that joined in, thanks for joining in. For those of you that didn't join in, I guess, you didn't hear me, so that's all right. Like, subscribe, click all the things, check the doobly-doo for related and unrelated links, scroll back in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and post the Discord link again for anybody left over that is interested in joining in on the Discord. Let me see here. And so here we are, Discord. Bloomp. And then, yeah, I'm kind of out of it right now, so I don't remember much. But I feel that this was a truly productive session. I think that the things, I wasn't just searching back and forth through code, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. Making that list at the beginning was a really good idea. I'm glad I did it. I know I asked a couple of questions throughout, so if you want to comment or hit me up on Discord, whatever, if you've got some good answers or suggestions, let me know. And then, the next one will be direct credit card payment, I think. I think that's the next one that we need to do, is direct credit card payment. And then the ability to cancel would probably be pretty good. The ability to check payments is, I'm going to put this in here as PayPal checkout. Get payment by ID, cancel order, and cancel subscription. And then cancel plus refund subscription. So there's some things. Let me go look at all of this. Link payment to purchase. Yeah, we kind of do that. I'm going to say all that's done. Send email to user. That does need to be on the quasi shortlist for the project as a whole, but not for these payment sessions, maybe. Chargeback webhooks. I do need to figure out what those are. Let's see. Create local link between user and subscription. Lifting the paywall. Add secure credit card inputs. We did get the syncing of product plan updates to existing PayPal product plan, kind of, sort of. I guess we didn't have that 100% yet. Payments allow for Bliss plus Telebit bundle. We're kind of going there, but that's, down the road a little bit. See. Bum. All right, I'm going to call that good for now. Okay. And, I'm going to take this DB thing and I'm going to put it into the issues, which, unfortunately, the issues for this are not public. But, if you really want that, let me know. So I'm pretty sure I got this on rootprojects.org/root. And I think this is under Bliss API. Or maybe I did put it on GitHub. Let me see. No, I put it on GitHub. I need to get them synced 100% between the mirrors and whatnot. Am I signed in? Yeah, I'm signed in. Bliss. Strange. Do I have it on Beyond Code? I do have it on Beyond Code, don't I? Too many projects. There we go, Bliss API. I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. DB for checkout. There we are. Cool. Yeah, I feel really good about this. I think things went well. I hope that you do as well. If you liked it, if you learned something, and for those of you just joining in, I actually recommend checking out the beginning where I do a pretty good, I think pretty decent synopsis of what's gone on in the last 13 sessions. Kind of the culmination of, oh, okay, now I actually understand what I'm doing. Now I don't feel like an idiot. Whereas the prior session was where I felt the most stupid, and the culmination of all the mistakes, and then before finally cresting the hill of understanding. But if you thought this was great or good, or if you like my face, thumbs up. Otherwise, feel free to give a thumbs down, because every time helps. Subscribe if you want to do the subscribe thing. Just hit the bell for personalized recommendations so you get the good stuff or all the stuff. And check the doobly-doo for my related and unrelated links. If there's any last questions, since we do have a few people that just joined in, I'll hang around for 15 seconds just to see, and then I will do my little, Okay, so waiting. All right, I'm going to do my little, adios. Oh, actually, one last thing. Also, if you find these to be useful, share the love or the wealth or the whatever. Hit up your folks on the Twitches or the Twitters or the Discords, and bring them into the fold. Tell them the water's lukewarm. It's great. All right. Real adios this time, but without the click, because I already did that 6 times. We don't need another one. We can go. We're done. It's over.